Hey, it's Jonathan. I want to show you a few things tonight about the facility. But before we do that, just want to share some thoughts from myself as well as our church staff. We've been praying about what God wants us to do with this facility. We don't enter into this process lightly. The number one reason that we want to be a part of this process is we want to see people reach for Jesus in this community. How can we best utilize the facility that we have now or a future facility that God may provide? How can we do that to reach people for Jesus? We need to come together as a church and unify behind whatever He wants to do. And so know that we're praying as a church staff, and we beg you to pray as a church about which path God would have us to take forward in this process. I'm standing at the children's entrance for a strategic reason tonight. You drive around this building and you're a first-time guest, you may not know where to come. Next time you're here, I'd encourage you to drive a loop around the building and see if you were to know where to go if you hadn't been here for a while. We have a unique facility and we want people to feel welcome here. I want to be able to show you a few things inside so that you can get a picture of some of the issues that we've been talking about with you. I'm on top of the west entrance drive-through, and as you can see, this is one of the problem areas with our flat roof where the water totally ponds up. The bulk of our roof completely needs to be replaced if we were to stay in this facility, and it needs to have a slope added to make sure it's not a flat roof. To do the 1965 portion is $1.1 million, and if we add on the 1979 portion, which is the Family Life Center, and I'll show you a few things over there in a minute, that's about $600,000. So to do the entire roof on the existing structure is about $1.7 million to both bring it up to code and make sure it's not flat anymore. We're still just above the west entry, and I want to take you on a little walking tour. The electrical panel you see here is what we used in order to give the choir room new air conditioning. One of the problems that we see in the report is that we're out of electrical capacity, and to replace that choir room air conditioner, this is the distance that they had to run that instead of the panels that are much closer, which cost us about $5,000 instead of what would have been about a $1,000 job. I'm standing on the roof of the bowling alley, which as you can tell is very much sunken from the rest of the roof. So when the water does eventually run off the roof, much of it comes here and goes out these drain pipes, of which we have 4 right here. But as you can see, there's a lot of ponding here as well. Maybe you're wondering where the 1965 portion of the building is and where the 1979 portion is. The best way for you to tell is to walk around the building on any given day. The 1979 portion all has a drop ceiling, these ceiling tiles here. The 1965 portion does not have a drop ceiling, it's a solid ceiling, which is actually covered in asbestos. That's the best way to tell which is 1979 and which is 1965. We're in one of about 6 mechanical rooms in the 1965 portion of the building where I'm presently hanging onto a 100% asbestos wrapped pipe. But I want to show you a pipe that's been partially replaced and some of the issues that's caused. I'm going to pan up here to the ceiling on one of the patch jobs that we've done, and some of the issues, even though we treat our water that provides our heating and cooling in the building, we're still dealing with some corrosion and some issues there. And then if you come down here, I want to show you, if you see down here, this is the bottom of one of our air handler units, and it's just completely rusted out. I could pick portions of that off right now. I don't want to. Let's back up with the camera just a bit. This is one of about 12 units that we have here in the building. And this one here is in the worst condition, and it could stop working at any time. The coils that are inside of these, they need to be either replaced, and these are the things that they need to have that need to be remanufactured because they are original to the building. Cost to replace the HVAC, which would include the heating as well as the cooling, and I'll show you the heating as well. It's about $2.7 million to do the 1965 portion of the building with all new air, all new heat. Our ductwork is also past due to be replaced on that. The 1979 portion of the building is in much better condition on that, but that's still going to take about $700,000 to bring those things up to code. These are some of the electrical issues that we're dealing with here in the building. As you can see, these panels are definitely original. No capacity left, and definitely not up to code anymore. Some of the other things here, this is one of about 8 panels that we have in the 1965 portion of the building, and we have just a few slots left here, but this would hold just a few outlets, not a lot. If we were to want to add anything, we would have to replace this entire panel to bring it completely up to code. Some of the electrical issues that we would need to deal with in terms of bringing the building up to code, the 1965 portion would be about $1.8 million, and that would cover not only the electrical panel upgrades, the wiring throughout the building, but that would also bring the lighting up to code, the outlets up to code, provide us additional distribution for those things that we would need in a more modern building. Standing by the west door, one of the major issues in our building is a life safety issue. As you can see, we don't have any real crash bars here that would allow for emergency exits. We have some in some places, but the majority we don't. As you can see, this is just a twist lock, which is not to code. We've got about $1.8 million worth of upgrades that we need to do on some of those issues. That would cover anything from carpeting to flooring, but not reconfiguring those things. Would also take care of some of the enclosures, which are doors and windows, and bringing those up to code, as well as providing efficiency in that way. We're in the boiler room now, which is outside of the building, and what you're looking at is our 2-pipe system, which provides cold air or hot air based on the season. If we were to stay in this building, or even build in a new building and stay with the same technology, 2-pipe systems are out of code now. We can't go back with that. Right now, we're in a season where we're coming up to fall. If you notice, it may be cool in the building when you arrive, or really warm in the building. It takes us a couple hours to switch from heat to air with a 2-pipe system. And these are original pipes to 1965. So this is a huge area that we need to upgrade, part of that HVAC distribution system. This is the hot water and the water distribution for our baptistry. It runs from here underneath the building up to the baptistry. And this is the holding tank for that. As you can see, I'm not even going to touch it. It may fall apart right there. But this is a huge thing that's got to be updated. We're actually having baptism this week, and it's actively dripping at this moment. So that's another smaller issue related to our plumbing that is just in really bad shape. We're standing in the church kitchen right now, and I want to show you a pipe here that's got a lot of corrosion like the HVAC pipes had upstairs. This is one of a lot of pipes that we have not only exposed in the building, but underneath the floor and in the slab. All of the pipes that are in the floor, that are our water lines in, as well as our sewer lines out, every one of those pipes is original to either 1965 or 1979. Both are past their usable lifespan. So to do all of that piping, as well as replacing the fixtures such as sink faucets and bathroom stalls and toilets, that's going to be about $2 million to do the entire building. Some of that cost is digging up the slab to replace some of those pipes. So we've got a lot of plumbing issues as well in the facility. Hey, I know that's a lot of information to get really quickly, but one thing as we wrap up, I just want to make sure that you know that anything that we've looked at tonight in this video, or any other questions it may have generated, I'll be glad to show you where some of those things are, get you all the information that you need. Make sure that you ask the questions that you need to get answers so that we can come together as a church and make a good decision. Please don't hesitate to ask.